Well, hey there, and welcome to another episode of the Brookside Conversations podcast. My name is Lucas, and I'm the director of online community here at Brookside. And I'm so excited to bring to you another episode of the Brookside Conversations podcast, where we have honest discussions about life and faith. And today on the podcast, we have special guest Greg McRobbie, who is the lead pastor here at Brookside. And today we were just talking about, honestly, the ton of things that have been going on in and through the life of Brookside over the past few weeks, because there's a ton going on, and we wanted to bring you into some of that. Some of the key themes that we're noticing pop up at different levels of conversation in leadership, also just in the lobby space or after church, things that are coming up that we believe that God is like stirring in the hearts of those who are preparing this sermon series. We know that God is on the move here at Brookside, and so we want to just bring you into some of that behind the scenes stuff. It was a great conversation that I had with Greg. He's just such a visionary leader who also like takes the time to really know where his people are at and then like be with them in the moment. So thank you so much, Greg, for your leadership. And this podcast comes to you as much as we possibly can. I just want to remind you to head to mybrookside.church to get even more from Brookside. We have tons of stuff going on in the children and youth ministries and small groups, and we have a hymn sing coming up. If you're listening to this in real time, it's on May 22nd for anyone who wants to go, but especially those seniors who are like, hey, I just really wish that we sang more hymns at church. Like, we want to get more and more into your life. So head to mybrookside.church for even more from Brookside. And our mission here is to help develop fully engaged followers of Jesus. And so everything that we do, including this podcast and everything we do on Sundays and our life groups and our followers made discipleship journey, everything that we do is all about helping you to take your next step, because we could all take a next step in how we are becoming fully engaged in the gospel of Jesus. And me too, we all have ways that we can take another step. So I truly hope that you enjoyed today's podcast interview. Greg it was just such a great conversation. So you know what, without further ado, let's dive into my conversation with Pastor Greg McRobbie. Well, hey, Greg, how's it going? Welcome to the podcast.
So glad to be here. Doing good. How about you, Lucas?
Oh, doing pretty good. It's been a couple of weeks since we put a podcast out, so wanted to get one going here. And man, seasons of ministry, hey?
Oh, it is fun. It's an exciting time to be in ministry, right?
It's like a roller coaster, but you kind of want to go on that roller coaster, and then maybe you want to go on that one. And so you're just kind of riding a few roller coasters at once.
Yeah. Well, and what comes to mind is we're riding a roller coaster and we're building the track while we're on the roller coaster.
Oh,
and it's like, whoa, is that track actually set yet? Like, why is it so steep? I didn't expect that extra.
Adjust this a little. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Oh my goodness. So I'm excited to sit down and talk with you today. This is kind of a new way to chit chat, because we're not really focusing on one specific thing, but we wanted to just bring a few things to the table for people to keep caught up on, and just kind of talk through a few different themes that we've been seeing in and through the life of Brookside over the past few months, eh?
Yep. Lots going on, right?
Lots going on. So let's see here. How do we want to organize this? We want to let's start with a big question.
Sure.
What are, maybe like super high level, some of the key themes that you've noticed like in the life of Brookside over the past few months?
Sure. Important question. And I think it's critical for us to be thinking about that, not just us at the leadership or staff level, but our whole church family.
Yeah.
To me, one of the biggest themes is engagement. Potentially re-engagement, getting back together physically into the building, that kind of thing. For people that are watching online, finding ways to help them really engage so that it's not just watching a show. They're finding ways to engage. And to me, this really comes down to the whole question of what we are called to be and what we're called to do. We're called, the Great Commission. Go out and make disciples of everybody, teaching them to obey everything and all this kind of thing. It's a mission that we are doing our best to engage in, right? I think one of the big themes for us right now, and hopefully will be for a long time to come, is how can we really engage in that? And how can we help each individual that calls Brookside home or is yet to call Brookside home really engage in the mission? Like, that's what we're called to do, right?
One of the things I've been thinking about lately is the church is centuries old, and it is still, the mission is still the same. And it is like not even close to being accomplished. There's just so much movement to do, and it's the calling to help develop fully engaged followers that's a big calling. And so sometimes I'm like, organizations will often they'll have a mission that they saw it all happen already, and then they have to come up with a new one. Well, that is not the case for the church. We have a mission, and it will take till Jesus comes back to accomplish it.
Yeah, the bigger challenge for the church is not coming up with a new mission. It's mission drift. We end up over time, gradually, imperceptibly drifting away from the mission. And
imperceptibly.
Yeah, I think I just made that word up right now. I was fishing for a word, and that's what came out.
We all know what you mean, yeah.
Yeah, we didn't even notice it happening, kind of deal.
Yeah.
For us, it's again re-engaging with the mission. Like some of the things that we're doing, right? Like some of our teaching series, we've been talking about what does it mean to really experience the power of the resurrection in our lives. We were looking at that in April. Right now, we're starting a series looking at what does it mean to really love God. We're told that's the most important thing. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, strength. Everything else is a waste of time. Everything else is pointless if we're not doing that. And yet, for a lot of people, it's like, I'm not really even sure what that means. Like, can I fit that in from 9 till 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning? Like helping people re-engage is really to me, one of our most important themes.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like ongoing. And I think sometimes as someone who, like with the youth group, I'm preparing things to teach them all the time. And sometimes I want to get into really nitty gritty or like ground level things that are not maybe the traditional like core fundamental things. But what I like about this series that we're in right now is that it is like I just keep thinking, if you were to ask just a random person, what is the church all about? One of the first things they're going to say is it's all about loving God. And yet, to just take this series and not assume that everybody knows what that looks like, and to actually teach about that. Even people who have been Christians for years and years and years need to be reminded or taught for maybe the very first time, what does it look like to love God? So I'm really digging this.
Yeah, for sure. Because like one of the things that comes to mind when you say that is, like, if you ask the average person on the street, what's your impression of the church? Is the first thing that would come to their mind, oh, those people really love God? Or would it be something
probably
else?
Not, honestly. Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. Often, that the impression, whether legitimate or not, and usually these impressions have some kernel of truth to them. It's like, well, they're just a bunch of judgmental people. Or they think they're so great and everybody else is so horrible, whatever. Like those are often the things that come to mind, and
which are just
food for thought.
Yeah, that's definitely food for thought. Yeah. What about some of the more practical things that we've been doing at Brookside to help people engage more?
Yeah, for sure. One of the biggest things that we have been doing on the whole engagement side is we've actually formed an engagement team, and we are beginning. Actually, if you are a partner at Brookside, you've already been a part of this engagement process and engagement survey that we've put out. Because of our redevelopment of all our kind of core identity documents and all that kind of stuff, that was part of the incorporation process that we went through over the last couple of years.
Those are a lot of big words, but
yeah, I know. Sorry, just a lot of crazy stuff going on.
Well, we incorporated as a church, which means that bylaws needed to be redeveloped, and so membership needed to be redeveloped. And we took the opportunity to really dig into it and not just put some boilerplate down, but something that's meaningful for our church.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And part of that was this new system to help us all kind of figure out, where am I at spiritually? If I'm supposed to be, if I say my desire is to be a fully engaged follower of Jesus, well, how engaged am I? And are there markers? Are there ways we can kind of help people identify, here's kind of where I'm at, and here's a next step that would be, a logical or a valuable next step in the journey to help each and every single person become what we are all saying we want to be, fully engaged followers of Jesus. So that's really what this engagement process is about. The survey, there's a regular, like every year, we're going to be going through this together, kind of like going to the doctor, going to the dentist. It's like, okay, let's see. Oh, no cavities. That's great. Or here, you got to floss more or something like that.
Yeah.
Same kind of idea.
It's good to check in. And I think, this is the way it should have been all along,
I know.
And just a way for church is a part of your spiritual life, and to have check-in with people who you trust and admire, and people who are looking out for you, and people who want the best for you and who are praying for you, to be part of your spiritual journey. It's just so important. And yeah, why not do that? We're going to do that every year. Like, just check in with people. Is it more of like because it's a little more than casual, but it's not really like a super formal thing. It's like or maybe it is.
Well, a lot of it depends on how you choose to look at it.
I guess so.
There's two main things that we're doing. One is we're just saying, if we claim that we're a family, and if we claim that we're on this mission together, then we need to be doing something to help each other do that. And how can we kind of hold each other accountable? What kind of a consistent pattern can we put in place that is meaningful and will help us take next steps? And the second thing is clearing up what are those next steps? Do we have a clear, and we're calling it a discipleship pathway until we find a better term for it, which we may next week or tomorrow. But for now, discipleship or disciple making pathway, however you want to describe it. It's like, what are the kind of the natural progression steps from I'm a totally know nothing about God, don't care about God, anything else, to I'm a passionate follower of Jesus in every part of my life.
And all the steps in between.
And the more clearly we can define those and have some systems in place to help people move along, the easier it is to help people grow. Because it's like, okay, here I am. Here's where I want to be next. What can I do? Here's something you can do. Great. Like it's in a sense that easy.
It's so helpful to all of us, whether you're somebody who just comes to Brookside or you're in leadership, to have something so clear that once you ask a few questions, you figure out where somebody's at, and you're like, okay, well then, this small group or this children's ministry, this makes sense for you, or maybe this learning opportunity or whatever it is. Yeah, that's going to be so good.
Yeah.
That definitely ties into something else that I've noticed at Brookside over the past few weeks or months that just comes up in all different circles, whether it's like in a lobby conversation or at like board meetings or staff meetings, like growth, discipleship. I remember one of the numbers, like metrics or measures that I just kind of blew my mind was a few weeks ago at our church. There was like 25% of the people there were basically newcomers. And I'm like, that's a crazy number. Like people don't have that sort of newcomer statistics in their church. And I mean, it's just a blessing to be part of a church that is inviting more and more people to be a part of what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. And to me, that's one of the, like, it's a joy. It's a privilege. It's such a cool thing that God is bringing new people here, and they want to come, they want to connect. So there's kind of an excitement side of that, and it's great. And at the same time, there, at least for me at the pastoral level, there's this concern of how do we help people connect, and how do we help our current people help new people connect, and how do we help somebody who's been here for a couple of months and is already connecting a bit, but who's still thinking, I'm a new person waiting for somebody to help me, helping them get to the place where it's like, actually, you are a follower of Jesus, called to reach out to the next person and help them come along as well. That whole process, and that in a sense, that's an expression of disciple making, right? It's like, I'm growing, I'm learning, and now I'm investing in others and all that kind of thing. As a church, how can we help our new people connect and find a place and connect with other followers of Jesus and start serving and growing and all of that is key.
And we have some opportunities like for those people to get connected. What are some of the, just at Brookside in a really like practical way, what are some of the ways that people could dive deeper into the community here?
Yeah. A couple of things that come to mind. Probably the easiest way, quickest way is serve on a team. Like, we need help in the parking lot. We need help in the lobby. Like, there's our welcome team is always happy to see new people coming and joining, becoming a part. We've got, if you have a gift, and we all do. There's things that we love to do. There's things that we're good at. Whatever it is, we've got a team that will use that, and you can get involved and start serving. That's a key thing. And in some ways, a whole lot more important in my mind, but it can be a little bit more uncomfortable to do when you're new, is get into a small group, get into a life group. And we've got a number of groups meeting all over the place. Great way to connect and not only grow and serve and learn together and get to know other people, but our life groups are intentionally focused on life change. It's not on, let's see how many details we can learn from this Bible study. It's how can we put into practice what Jesus is telling us. And so that's just a great place to do that. And then we've got a kind of a more intentional disciple making piece, which will be part of this disciple making pathway. Followers made. Which is kind of in beta testing right now.
Followers made. And that's literally a discipleship, like pretty intense. It's a 6-month.
It's a 6-month investment of time. Yeah. But to me, it's ground level. It's like, because Jesus kind of said,
it's what I love about it is that it strategically brings people through a series of books and really just guided conversations in journaling, and it's like you kind of go deeper with, because when I went through it with people that I had known for a few years, and I went deeper in relationship with them than ever before, and it was just like and challenging spiritually, like things that I thought I was doing really well. And it's like, actually I need to, buck up a little bit, and being able to just be more accountable. It's been really life-giving, and we've had lots of cohorts go through that now. Hey,
we've got like 4 or 5 now. And everybody that has got the consistent message that I hear from people is, I was a little nervous about it at front because it sounds like a lot. But like within, like I'm in my 4th one right now myself. And I'm hearing the same thing from the folks that I'm doing it with. It's like, this is so good. Like how I wish I had done this earlier. Like it's just such a life-giving thing, because it's all about helping us learn how to live day to day following Jesus, which we all say we want, but we're like, a lot of people need some help kind of establishing those basic rhythms that allow that to happen. And
one of the things I'm noticing is that people who have gone through followers made are coming to to their role in the church with a bit of a new zest or a new idea, or how can I make this, like one of my worship leaders was like, in the followers made, we talked about this. I really want to incorporate that into my leadership on the stage. It's like, yes, I want that to happen.
That's awesome.
And it's things that I maybe never in as the director, I could have never really had it would have never came up naturally to bring up that specific theme. But they, in their own discipleship journey, decided, hey, I want to try to see if I can bring the whole church into that piece. Like it just comes and infiltrates your whole life instead of just, I'm going to a Bible study, I'm going to a small group. It's a little deeper than that. Yeah.
Which is, again, like helping people figure out, what does it mean to be a fully engaged follower? It goes far beyond Sunday morning, and it goes far beyond a small group study. Often we feel like, I can't give any more than that. All I can do is show up for this and show up for that. It's like, well, we're not talking about showing up for stuff. It's helping shape our lives around Jesus Christ. And it's life-giving.
It totally is. And the more we help individuals to shape their lives, just like you just said, the more we can focus on the systems and the vision of the church, and if we take that with the several handfuls of people who are currently here, what if we take that over the next big vision? And I know we've been working on some of that stuff at a leader level too, which is really exciting to me.
Oh yeah. Being visionary focused, like that's the kind of stuff that like gets all the right bells and whistles blowing off at the same time. We're working through at the staff level, at the board level, long-term vision. What's it going to look like? What do we believe God is calling us to do? What do we believe God is going to empower us to do here, and not just in our little setting here at Brookside on Klondike, but across the whole region of Ottawa West and the surrounding communities. What do we believe God wants to do there? And what would he be? What do we believe he would be willing to use us to accomplish? And that's exciting. We're at the stage where we're like this far from kind of taking it next to the broader church family, to our partners and everybody else. And it's like, here's what we're thinking. Here's what we believe God's calling us to do. Like, see, and getting more people involved in that. I'm excited about that.
Oh yeah. I think it's kind of a neat thing because there are quite a few newcomers and people who have been part of the online experience over the past couple of years, or maybe were a little bit involved a year or two before that. But Brookside has been in a revitalization kind of process for like quite a long time. And so this is like a very natural next step to look at, okay, so the past, decade has been this way. Like, what do we want to see the next generation look like? And so that's very, very exciting. And especially coming out of such intense focus on discipleship, growth and development of our people. And what are our spiritual hopes for people? What do we want their lives to look like? And how can we teach them that way? And then to imagine, okay, so let's imagine way more people like that and a bigger, impact in the community we could have. It's amazing. Yeah.
Amen to that. That's exciting stuff.
So, just to wrap things up, 2020, 2021, and now it's May 2022. There's been a ton. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? There's been a lot of pivoting and churning and just, I feel it. I know you do. And I'm sure most people in their jobs, at church and beyond, just feel the the stress of life is different than it ever was before. And so what's that kind of look like for the life of Brookside?
We had a good answer to that.
Yeah.
That would be sweet. It's part of it is just learning to live with the churn, right? Learning to live with for me, one of my big concerns on my heart as I do what I can to navigate what God is calling us to experience is the possibility of burnout for our key leaders, for people that are deeply invested and serving. In a lot of ways, that the demand right now for ministry is greater than it ever was. Because we're re-engaging after basically a 2-year, at least in-person hiatus, right? And teams that were in place for in-person ministry, a lot of them are not the same as they were. We've lost a number of people through like normal attrition that you would normally experience over those 2 years, all kind of accelerated into one moment. And the 2 years, 2.5 years of onboarding of new people was on pause. So there's fewer resources for us in terms of people, finances. A number of people are finding financial pressures greater than they were before. For us, we're looking at restarting ministries and rebuilding things and launching new things. And most of those cost money, and most of them take manpower, woman power, and both of those are at a premium right now. And so my big concern
sounding very hopeful.
Well, that's just reality, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So like we need to do what we can for our leaders, our servers. We've got some super faithful people who are working overtime, serving and helping bridge the gap. We've got a number of people that are coming, and it's funny. I was thinking about this. When it comes to every Sunday's invitation, hey, if you're new, fill in this, I'm a new person form, and let us know that you're here. And very seldom do we get people actually doing that. And I think part of the reason is that we end up falling into two categories when we're new. Either we're in the category of, I'm too new, I don't want to fill this out, I don't want to give any information. And at some point we switch from, I've been around here for a while and everybody should know me by now. And I don't need to fill in that form because I've been here for the last 6 or 7 weeks or something like that. And we switched from, I'm not going to fill it out because I'm not ready to commit, to
I'm not a newcomer anymore.
Yeah, I'm not going to fill it out because I've been around for a while. And that moment of transition is very seldom captured.
I've never thought about it in that way, but that makes total sense.
Yeah. So it can be a challenge even for our teams. Like, we want to see new people getting involved and connecting, and people that have been kind of a little bit hesitant about coming back together, helping them re-engage. But our people that are serving are working so hard. It's hard for them to slow down and look around and say, oh, you're let's get you involved here. So we have to do what we can to help encourage people that are looking to get in, to just not sit around and wait. Come. Get in, offer. That may not be long-term the best thing, but that's just part of the reality right now.
Absolutely. And we do have a big vision for Brookside. We believe God has amazing things in store for us. The community around us is just booming with new infrastructure
development, new housing, all kinds of stuff.
Crazy. And we are just I see where God has placed Brookside physically. I'm like, this is incredible. I see the quality of leaders there, and I just go this. God is obviously doing something incredible. And even just in this tiny conversation, which has been about 40 minutes, whoa, you can see that we just have a real passion for not just settling for status quo and we want to see how we can best help more and more people come to Jesus. So,
Amen.
Wow.
The mission of God is so worth it, right?
Yeah.
Like our values, and that's one of the things I love is our values are reflected in our people, not just on a statement on the wall. Like we're aiming high. And we're doing everything we can to make it happen, and doing our part. Only God can build the church. Only God can, but we can do the plant. Like we can plant and we can cultivate and we can weed and we can, we do our part as much in the best way we can, and we trust and pray and seek the Lord as He chooses to bless in the way He chooses. So, yeah, it's exciting.
I want to take the time to thank you so much for bringing us behind the scenes a little bit to the pastor's desk. There's so much on the go and taking time to lead it all. So thank you so much. And how can we'll explain all the different ways that you can get involved. We always do. So reach out to us. Anyone can obviously reach out to us if they have questions or comments, or if they want to get engaged with what's going on. We would love that to happen. So
definitely.
Thanks, Greg, for taking the time today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.
Well, thanks again, Greg. That was such a great conversation, and really am so excited for all the things that God has in store for Brookside as we move along in this. Guys, if you want to get more from Brookside, or if you want to get engaged in any of the stuff we talked about today, head to mybrookside.church. All the links for all of this stuff is there. There's especially a weekly newsletter where it's like we send a ton of information every week just to keep you all up to date. It's called the Brookside Brief, and you can sign up for it at mybrookside.church. It comes out on Fridays, and we'd love for you to sign up for that. And if you're interested in learning more about us, we'd just love to see that happen. So make sure you like and subscribe and follow wherever you listen to this, and leave a rating and review if you'd like to. It just helps to spread the word of everything that we're up to here. And can't wait to share with you another episode of the Brookside Conversations podcast.